A Podcast Has No Name, with your hosts, Doug Harrelson and Luke Aldridge.
Hey guys, and welcome back to A Podcast Has No Name. Hope you guys really enjoyed that Blackfire episode last week. Me and Luke had a ton of fun doing it. This one's going to be a little bit more friendly to some of you TV viewers, but not... We're still going to go by the book lore on this, and we'll even discuss some of the differences between the book story and the television show. Luke, how you doing today? We were discussing Brienne of Tarth, Sir Duncan's descendant.
Yeah, we are. Yep, we not too bad. Just hanging out. Today I'm drinking. I think something similar to last time. I don't have the bottle, but sparkling ice pineapple lifesaver. What about you, Doug? What are you drinking?
Well, I finished my sparkling water there and stuff, so I'm just going to be drinking good old-fashioned water. But you got to do what you got to do.
Ah, nothing wrong with that. Staying hydrated.
So before we get into our main topic, there is something in the greater Song of Ice and Fire universe that we should discuss. Luke, tell us what we should discuss.
Well, it seems like good old HBO Max has released a little trailer from a little known show called House of the Dragon. Looking at season 3, and we've got I think our first, is this our first full trailer? There was a teaser, but...
So it was part of a greater, HBO, this is what we have coming in 2026. So there was scenes mixed in with it, like Euphoria, The Pit, all their other big-time premium shows. Definitely, HBO Max has been doing a really good job lately. Night of the Seven Kingdoms obviously smashed, The Pit smashed. They would really like House of the Dragon, too, as well. Some cool stuff we saw, a little bit of Battle of the Gullet, definitely some scenes of them talking about going towards King's Landing and stuff. We do want to keep it a little spoiler-free, so we won't get too deep into it, but the action definitely seems there. This naval battle that they're going to open with is supposed to blow our socks off. As we've said before on the show, the stakes are high for Ryan Condal and company, with all the discourse and also with the success of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it definitely has put the pressure right back in their court of, you got to make this work.
Yeah, especially with the way bigger budget than Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and they've had experience now, and it's like, there's no excuses for it to, it's got it. I think you had said this is a make or break season, because 100%. It's not. This isn't. We're not at season 8 of Game of Thrones. Nowhere near that. But we're kind of in limbo, and we've heard some bad things, but we had a solid first season, and there was cool parts of season 2, but a little worrisome. But they could knock season 3 out of the park,
They could.
That would put the show. Yeah. And I think there's a good chance they might. That would put them back on course. It's happened with other shows before outside of the Game of Thrones world, but it's not going to be easy, and it could go the other way. It could, we have one more season with some big faux pas, and I don't know if that's the right word, but some
just
big
follow the
issues.
damn book.
I know.
Just follow the
it's
damn
like
book.
It's not that hard.
That's
what Night of the Seven Kingdoms did.
It's a tricky book to follow because of the way that book is written, but just follow the damn book. But
yeah,
we will get more into that as we get closer to June and everything. I'm going to break this to Luke live on air, you guys. I'm going to be in Nashville in June. Oh no, actually no, I may have texted you. I may have texted you that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just putting on a show.
I forget what I do and do not do sometimes. I have this I don't know what HDs are, but the doctor claims I have 80 of them. So, okay. But
yeah, so we might have a little live episodage, coming up. We'll work out the details later, but that might be cool. We might have an in studio live one, and
we're going to see what we can do.
That'd be
no guarantees yet to our audience. But we are going to do
no promises, no guarantees.
And that might also prevent what sort of technical difficulties you guys might be hearing. I know the last couple of weeks, my voice has sounded a little bit robotic and a little off of the way it's supposed to. I have been trying everything in the world. I have simplified my computer to the point where, like, I'm back on the old school, like, paper notes now, so that I don't even have notes on the screen. Doing everything I can to reduce the stress on my poor little laptop that's doing its best. Okay, it's trying real hard.
I was gonna say what would be funny is if we did it from the tiki bar at the Rusty Nail.
For old time's sake, that'd be great.
Oh yeah.
All right, so our main topic. Luke, do you want to tell us a little bit about the origins and backgrounds and everything of our character here? We're talking about her because she is we hear rumors that from George that she is a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall.
Yeah.
But also, just in character, she is probably the most similar to Sir Duncan the Tall that we have in the rest of the greater A Song of Ice and Fire universe. She's an honorable knight. Tell us a little bit about her background, Luke.
Yeah, so even though there's a lot of similarities to Dunk, she, unlike him, she does start out as the daughter of a lord. She is nobility. She's not princess or anything. She's not a major house, but she doesn't start out as a peasant in King's Landing. So Brienne is actually born on the Isle of Tarth, which is off the coast of the Stormlands. They're sworn to House Baratheon. So she's born in 280 AC. And her father is Lord Selwyn. She has, I think, an older brother and a younger sister, but they both die at a young age. So she's the only one that grows up into actual adulthood. Her father tries to, have her do the typical etiquette and dancing and ladylike things, I suppose, but she's not having it. And she is trained. We don't get his first name, but she's trained by the Master of Arms of Tarth, Sir Goodwin. And one thing he does tell her is men will always underestimate you, and they don't want the battle to be look difficult. They don't want to say that they got put through their paces by a woman. So they're going to attack hard and fast, and they're going to wear themselves out. And then once they wear themselves out, that's going to be your chance to jump in. So that's kind of the one quote we have from Sir Goodwin. So Lord Selwyn does try to... Now her mother is unknown, but again, we only know Lord Selwyn, her father. He's about 35 when she's born. And we won't get too far into this, but we think that he probably had something to do in Robert's Rebellion. He probably participated in some form. We think that he was probably stayed loyal to Robert, or at the very least stayed out of it, because it's said that his fortunes improved quite a bit after Robert's Rebellion, because the guy who he was sworn to became king. But anyways, Lord Selwyn tries to betroth her 3 times. The first one died before the betrothal could become a marriage. The second one was very rude. He showed up, saw her, and did not like the looks of her, and broke the betrothal. Now the third, Sir Humphrey Wagstaff, was an older knight, and he basically told her that she was going to learn to be a lady and learn her place. And she told him, I'm not taking orders from a guy who can't beat me in the yard.
Oh, yard.
Beat me, like in the practice yard. So he took her up on that. Once again, probably overconfident, and she broke some of his bones. So after that, that betrothal was broken. After that, her father kind of gave up on that. She met Lord Renly Baratheon at his coming of age, I guess, tour or progress. I don't know if it would be called progress, but he visited Tarth, and she met him at a dance. She met him there, and so I actually am not sure. So, Doug, do you remember that when she was talking about the boys bullying her and nobody would dance with her, and then he danced with her? Was that a show thing or a book thing?
I believe
Because I wasn't sure about that.
both, but we can
Okay.
in moments. But
We don't have endless information on that encounter, but we just know that he met her when he visited Tarth. So she kind of fell in love with him. It was a one-sided thing, and eventually she was sent to Storm's End for some time by her father, Lord Selwyn. So she came to know Lord Renly even better, got closer to him. At some point, she was sent back to Tarth for a time. Where we meet her is when he's already declared himself as king, and he's slowly making his way to King's Landing. Now they stop at Bitterbridge and have a little tourney. So she fights in this tourney as the Blue Knight. This is where Lady Catelyn first sees her, and she doesn't even know she's a woman. She defeats Sir Loras Tyrell in the melee, and he's known as one of the foremost knights
in the entire kingdom.
one of the top knights in the entire kingdom, but probably of course in the Reach. But so she defeats him. King Renly, as he proclaims himself, basically tells her, "I'll give you any boon you wish." Her wish is to join his Kingsguard. Now his Kingsguard is called the Rainbow Guard, and she gets to join as the blue part of it, the Blue Knight.
Yeah, because every one of the knights is represented by a different color in his guard, and she carries the Blue Knight moniker.
Right, because that's they're about to be in a war. That's very important.
Yeah,
She, to Renly, apparently it's important to have different colors. But so shortly after that, we have the event with Stannis, and Renly dies, and that's at Storm's End.
do you know what knight was supposed to have that spot in his King's Guard or in his Rainbow Guard?
I don't.
He was gonna.
Tell us, Doug.
He wanted to give it to Sir Barristan Selmy, Barristan the Bolt.
Oh, yeah, I did. I saw that,
Yeah,
but that was also a presumption. I think that was a one-sided thing too. I don't think Barristan Selmy. I don't know, but he probably would have preferred him over Joffrey, but we just don't know. I think that was wishful thinking of if he wins the war, he gets in there, he can kind of do what his brother did.
Well, Barristan
say, hey,
ended up serving Daenerys
you're an honorable man
after everything happened with Joffrey and them. So who knows? Philosophers will.
That's
debate.
true. Yep. So, anyways, after that, so of course Renly dies. She is blamed for his death because she is with him when he dies.
She was preparing
Lady
for the
Catelyn
siege at Storm's End.
Yeah,
that was the.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so Lady Catelyn manages to find her and steal her away, get her out of there. Then they go to, so she steals her away, and they go to River Run because that's, of course, where Hoster Tully is lord, and she'll be safe there. They get there, and she swears allegiance to Catelyn as her lady because now she's not tied to anyone, of course, because Renly dies. Shortly after that, of course, Jaime Lannister has been captured. Catelyn works out a secret deal to return him for the girls, for Sansa and Arya. Correct?
Correct.
Was that the trade?
Well, it's specifically for Sansa because they don't really know where Arya is.
That's true. That's true. So she sends him. The first thing she sends Brienne to do is to secretly take Jaime back to King's Landing, along with his cousin Cleos Frey, or not his cousin. I'm sorry, along with Cleos Frey. He's thrown in for the bargain. So they are attacked. Or actually, no. Jaime gets his hand on a sword.
The brave companions attack them on the field.
The brave companions, yes. They get to the bridge. They get to a little bridge, and they actually get in a little duel. And Of course, Jamie is weakened from his captivity.
Well,
so
let's
we're
make sure
not
we
talking
do
about
this sequencing
Oh yeah,
just a little bit. So they're actually having the duel
that's
first,
right.
and then
Help me out.
that's after Brienne is able to best him, and she's holds his head under the water and everything, and Jamie realizes that he cannot beat her because she's stronger than him. They are then attacked by the brave companions,
That's right.
resulting in the death of
Yeah.
Cleo.
That's what. Yeah. So they get in a duel, and again, she does best him, but he is weakened, Jamie.
No.
But as you said, brave companions attack them. Cleo's Frey dies, and they so they've captured Jamie and Brienne
And taken Jamie's hand.
Yep. Then so Vargo Hoat, I believe
In the show, they use a character named Locke.
in the show it's Rorg or it's
Locke,
Law.
yeah.
And, but I think Vargo Hoat in the book, Vargo Hoat orders somebody else to cut the hand off. It's Rorg, maybe. From what I understand, he orders somebody to cut off his hand.
Zolo.
We'll move on from that. Zolo, that's correct. Okay,
Yeah,
it wasn't
Zolo.
he comes later, but it was Zolo. I couldn't remember the name, but he orders Jamie's hand to be cut off. Jamie's hand is cut off, and he's pretty down. So Brienne actually kind of tells him, like, look, you need to live to take revenge on these people, and that's the reason you want to keep going. It's his sword hand, which that's what he's known for. Is he's a great knight.
That's how he
he's
identifies
one of the best
himself.
fighters in the realm. Exactly. So you got to imagine he's pretty down. She kind of helps him through this, and
yeah, it's impossible to kind of tell Brienne's story without telling Jamie's, at least part of Jamie's story, because his humbling and her seeing how like honor comes in different ways. We'll get further in that as we get a little further, but their stories are so intertwined. One of the two characters it's different, but like it makes for great storytelling. George is really good at this.
It's hard to tell the story of Brienne without a little bit of Jamie. But so shortly after that, Vargo Hoat tries to sexually assault Brienne. Jamie manages to save her from that by telling Vargo Hoat of the Sapphire Isle that she's from. And
it was all of them. It was all the brothers companions or brave companions that were trying to do it. It include Chadwell, Rorg, Zolo, like the whole gang.
Right. Led by Vargo Hoat.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll but he basically leads them to believe, well, do you want to hold her for ransom unharmed because she comes from the Sapphire Island? Would you like to have a big bag of sapphires? And they believe him, and they're like, all right, fine. So then they head to Harrenhal, where Roose Bolton has taken command in absence of Tywin Lannister. Roose basically, he tells them, hey, what's done is done, but you need to heal up Jamie, clean him up. And what was the quote that he said to tell Jamie to tell Tywin?
He said to give him my regards, and Jamie tells him, as long as you'll give Robb Stark mine, because he knows that he's going to the wedding at the Twins. Now, we could discuss that wedding at the Twins another day. That is that is a whole topic.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. I just wanted to get the quote.
Yeah.
But
Lannister sitting there.
So that's what Roose does. Before he takes off, he kind of tells him to do what he will with Brienne, but Jamie saves her again. He's like, no, if I'm the bargaining chip, I have a little bit of say here, and
before Bruce
you need to clean her up too.
Before
heal
Bruce
her up.
leaves, he agrees to have dinner with Jamie, and Jamie decides that a bath would be in order to do that. And when he enters the bathhouse, he finds Brienne scrubbing so hard he's worried that she's going to tear the skin off of it.
Yeah, I remember that part. So she still kind of has this image of him as, you killed your king.
Kingslayer.
And that's all there is to it. Yeah, Kingslayer. And this is where we get his firsthand account of what happened. Push to come to shove, he told his pyromancers to
the Mad King
burn the city down. Yes, I'm sorry, Aerys II, the Mad King. when Jaime was around protecting him, he tells his pyromancer, his chief pyromancer, what was his name? Lord Roz? No,
Rosart, I believe.
Roswell?
It's Rossart.
Rosart, yes.
Like pronunciations are.
Yes.
There's never George never does official enunciation guides. That's why we've been saying Aegon for years, and then there's a guy named Egg, which is supposed to be short for Aegon. So pronunciations are
and Maekar, Mirkar.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
It's a touchy subject on the podcast.
Yes, exactly. So, anyways, the story is that Aerys II, the Mad King, tells Rosart to burn the city down because if he's going down, he's going to take the city with him. Rosart is his hand as well. Jaime, and he tells Jaime to bring Tywin, his father, Jaime's father's head to him. So Jaime has to make this decision, family or the guy that I swore my oath to. He kills Rossart. Was it after or before Aerys?
He killed Rossart first before he could get to the other pyromancers.
That's right.
So he wanted to...
So he kills him. He saves the city from being burnt down by that action. Then Aerys tries to flee, and of course he stabs him in the back. But he stabs him to prevent, to prevent him from burning the city down. So he saves the city, essentially, from being burnt down. He saves Flea Bottom and all the peasants that are there. And that's kind of Brienne is dumbstruck.
Super interesting that he chose to because he doesn't defend himself to other characters in the story. Mm-hmm. He just says, sure, I'm a Kingslayer. And even though he hates that name, he mostly lets it go. He says a couple of comments to Ned Stark as well. But this is the first time he really divulges everything. And we actually see that, like always with George's writing, what things appear to be may not always be what they are. And maybe Jaime isn't the most honorable or courageous or, the most Sir Duncan the Tall of Knights. But he does have... But he's not necessarily a villain for what happens here.
He's not evil. He may be selfish, but he's not evil. And he... I think it's a storytelling tactic where if we had heard it earlier, it wouldn't mean as much. Hearing it, I think George wanted us to hear it in this bathhouse and get the reaction from Brienne. Of course, she's dumbstruck, and I think she realizes okay, this guy isn't nearly as bad as I thought. There's obviously another side to him, and she begins to see him in a different light. Shortly after that is when
Jaime wishes the regards, and so does Bolton as he heads to the twins, and shortly he then sends he sends Jaime with Qyburn and I forget who the guard was with them as well towards King's Landing.
Right, he sends them. Now while they're gone, of course, Vargo Hoat tries to assault Brienne again. And
she ain't standing for it.
She decides, nope, she bites his ear off. So, and of course, he's pretty angry about that. And he decides to throw her in a bear pit.
Mike Tyson.
With bears and with a wooden sword, not a real sword.
Yeah, wooden.
So basically, it's just a death sentence. Yeah, wooden training sword. And at that moment, so in the meantime, Jaime has told Qyburn and the guard, that's when he tells them we have to go back, right? He forces them to go back. They're going to go get Brienne. And I think he gets back around that time. That's when she's in the bear pit. And she's on the verge of getting mauled by a bear. He pulls her out of it, correct?
No, he actually
pulls her out of the bear pit.
He jumps into the bear
That's
pit.
right.
And because he is under the protection, basically, of Roose Bolton, some of the guards then unleash crossbow bolts at the bear, slaying the bear.
They
because
killed the bear.
He's
That's
too
correct.
valuable to let die. But we see Brienne's impact on Jaime here, creating changing his character almost a bit, and he's now willing to be the more honorable knight, and her impact on him cannot be understated for sure.
Right. She's kind of impacting him. He's impacting her. And I think you're right. I think this is around the time when he starts being more honorable, or starting, with preventing her from being assaulted back in the woods. But again, so he saves her. Jaime and Brienne start their journey. They head back to King's Landing again with Qyburn and a guard. And I'm gonna let Doug take it over from there.
Whenever they do get to King's Landing, they find this is this is about the point where the books and the show start to differ quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Like as Brienne's journey goes along. When they first arrive at King's Landing, Loras Tyrell, who we actively know loved Renly Baratheon, wants her head on a spike because he also believes that she is responsible for this. Jaime actually has Brienne arrested more for her protection than anything, just to keep her safe from any sort of harm that might come from her and whatnot. And he actually arranges a meeting with Loras and Brienne, and that is the first time that Loras is ever actually convinced of her innocence. Jaime now has had, such a change of heart, and now he actually really, because not only what Catelyn did by releasing him, but the way Brienne just lives and does things, he wants to honor the agreement. So he not only does he task her with going to find Sansa Stark, he actually then gives her the sword that he has. She would eventually name it Oathkeeper, but the sword was broken down from Ned Stark's sword, Ice. So she would be searching for Ned's daughter with Ned's own steel, which is just a beautifully sort of poetic thing. It does bear the Lannister crest on it, which is something that does come up, and that's kind of the end of their sequence in Storm of Swords. And this, I really think that her story picks up so much in Feast of Crows. This is the first time she's actually a true POV character. Before, we had only seen her from Lady Catelyn's perspective, from Jaime's perspective. We finally get to the part of the story where we're going to be looking through Brienne of Tarth's eyes. And I find that her chapters to be great reads. And I do not mean this in a sexist or derogatory way. I sometimes have harder times reading female POV characters because I don't relate entirely with them. Brienne is such a well-written character that, her chapters are always some of my favorites. And that's not to say, Arya Stark's chapters are great, but there is but not every chapter is wrote for every person that's reading it. There needs to be chapters that other people will relate to more. That's what makes the POV style so good, is that we get all these different sort of perspectives.
Well, and a quick note, if you don't mind, she's now completed her part of her Jaime's orders and do not override Lady Catelyn's. They coincide with it, and so she's delivered him to King's Landing, even though they took a lot of stops on the way, and it didn't really happen that way. And since Sansa wasn't there, she's now kind of continuing the quest to find Sansa. So she's almost still working on that hostage exchange, just in a very, very roundabout way. And she would basically, if Catelyn were around, that's probably the order she would have given her. If she had appeared, seeing Jaime already at the castle, and seeing Sansa wasn't
Lady
there,
Catelyn
she had to go find.
Sort of around, sort of. We'll get to that. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Show watchers.
I meant in the meeting at King's Landing is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I don't mean around in general.
Yeah. So
anyways, I'll let you go on.
I will try to keep a lot of this next point. I'll try to move through these next ones really quickly because it is very, very much a wild goose chase all over Westeros.
Yes.
So it begins with the first sort of people that she encounters. Ilfer the Penniless, Creighton, Carbow, and of course Sadrich, aka the Mad Mouse. When she's describing this highborn lady, she doesn't want to specifically say she's looking for wanted felon Sansa Stark, who is, the Queen has said, murdered her son, or was at least an accomplice with Tyrion Lannister, her husband, in order to kill King Joffrey. Whenever she mentions that she's looking for this auburn-haired girl with blue eyes, that as her sister, he basically tells her, "You're not the only one looking for Sansa Stark in these woods." But he's saying that he's looking for her because the Varys has offered gold to.
Yeah.
When she realizes that this person's goals do not necessarily align with her, she ends up ditching them at an inn and going out solo. But she knows that Sir Dantos somehow involved with her escape from King's Landing, so she figures that's as good a lead as any. His family has a castle in the Duskendale area, so she decides to head that way. And when she's on the way there, she notices this boy every so often. We will get to who that is in a little while. But whenever she is there, she has a shield that has bats on it that she had gotten from Harrenhal, as you know, from Jaime, just as something to use to. And that sigil was very, very frowned upon. So she was like, okay, we need something with a little bit of a lower profile. So she does get her shield, the shield that she has right there, painted here. And in fact, she gets it painted as something that she had seen in her family's armory. The elm tree with the shooting star that you may know from the popular television show A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. She represents, because she herself is also kind of wanted still for the Renly thing, and so keeping a low profile is in the best interest of Brienne of Tarth as well. So she does get that painted, and while she's at Duskendale, they basically say the Dantos, the Hallard family basically has nothing left after an incident that had occurred with the Mad King being held hostage there. He put them all to the blade after Barristan had freedom, save for Sir Dantos himself, because he was no longer living there, no longer had really any ties with them anymore, so there's no reason for him to even come back there. They're like, you need to just look somewhere else. You were not going to find her here. On the way out, though, she also had ran into to this kid again, and then she realizes that this person is following her, and she was like, well, two can play that game, and she sneaks around on him, and he's just staring at at the ground and whatnot, and she knocks him off of his horse. Turns out this is Sir Podrick Payne, Pod the God. Pod the Rod, the man, the myth, the legend. And he says that he's looking for Sansa.
He's not a Sir yet, though, right?
Huh? That's true. He has not been knighted yet. But
just Podrick. Simply Podrick.
Simply the Squire Podrick. So Podrick is following her because he knows that she's looking for Sansa, and Tyrion would want, in order to help possibly free Tyrion, finding Sansa could be a good start in figuring out all of that's going on. So, after this, while she was in Duskendale, she also was in a inn and had heard stories of this guy named Nimble Dick. She'd heard about this from an imp in the tavern. Basically, him bragging about how he had fooled a fool, and Sir Dantos is a fool, as you know. So she is like this. Is as good a lead as any. So we're headed to Maidenpool in search of Nimble Dick to try to figure out about this fool. Whenever they're getting close to Maidenpool, she ends up following a farmer up there, and as they get to the gate, the captain actually starts to threaten to take this farmer's eggs and his wife, and this is where Brienne pulls her sword out because her honorable self cannot stand for this kind of behavior. And at this point, Hal Hunt, a man that she hated from earlier years, begins to chime in and says that, and ends up bringing her to Randall Tarley, who you might also know from the show as well. And he basically explains to her, you're not going to find her here, and you're not going to find Sansa at the Vale either, because Lysa Arryn is dead. So now it really does feel like the sources are running thin. So when she does finally find this guy Nimble Dick, though, he does say that that this fool was looking for, that he had found, was looking in particular for passage for 3 across the narrow sea. So she begins wondering if maybe that's the other daughter. Like, there's a lot going on in Brienne's poor head right now. Nimble Dick basically says, though, that he'll help her find it, but for gold. So he said, and he wants 10 gold dragons. She says, "I'll give you 6 if you find Sansa Stark, 2 if you just find the Fool." Nimble Dick agrees to her terms. She does ask Podrick to kind of keep an eye on him because she just does not trust him. Sees him going through her stuff, like through her bags and stuff.
Samwise Gamgee and Gollum. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
For sure. And
Frodo, Samwise, and Gollum.
And if you read his lines of dialogue, he speaks with just like this thick accent where like all the like words are chopped up with like apostrophes and stuff. And he has like bad breath of sour leaf, and he's always trying to like make jokes that are not necessarily super kosher. So he's a guy that's kind of appears very shady to Brienne. While they are heading to Crackclaw Point, they pass through this area called the ruins of this area called the Whispers, and it is there where they actually end up getting ambushed. And unfortunately, Nimble Dick was not super helpful there. I mean, he was being loud, he got their attention and whatnot, and unfortunately, he is actually slain by Shagwell, one of the ones who had been trying to rape Brienne at Harrenhal. And he's there with 2 of his cronies, 2 of the other brave companions, as they call themselves. And it turns out Dick was actually not being a dishonorable person. He was actually trying to help. But 2 of Shagwell's companions, Pig and Timon, attempt to slay Brienne of Tarth to no avail. She immediately slays them. And when in a combat with Shagwell, Podrick actually throws a rock at him, hits him in the head, and then she's able to disarm him, knock him down. And she actually ends up making him dig a grave. And he's like, "But I don't have a spade." She was like, "Use your bare hands." Like, she is not sparing any sort of decency for this person. And she picks up Dick, though, and she's going to give him a proper burial. And she thinks to herself, she was like, "This is when he's going to make his move." And she's like, as she hears him coming towards him, she pulls the dagger out and stabs him and says sapphires to him as he's like dying, like, which I thought was like really poetic.
Nice.
And after he dies, she tosses 2 gold dragons, because Shagwell was actually the fool in question, but it was not the Dantos that she was looking for, unfortunately. But Brienne, ever so honorable, still wants to give the 2 dragons. And at this point, she hears someone laughing. It's Hyle Hunt once again. He's saying, unless there's brothels in hell, those gold dragons are going to go to waste. Which I thought was a hysterical line. The chapters in Feast for Crows for Brienne are absolutely fantastic. They really are. Some of the best stuff that you'll read in A Song of Ice and Fire. So he brings her back because he was actually sent to follow her by Randall Tarley to see if she did indeed find Sansa Stark, he would want that information as well. But he ends up lying. I forgot to mention this other part with she had heard from Shagwell and these boys that the Hound was seen with the Stark girl, and so she is thinking, okay, maybe now the Hound is my next lead. The book readers and the show watchers and the audience, everyone but Brienne, this is the tough part about Brienne's chapters, is we know stuff from other chapters that she doesn't know, that like she's following dead ends. Like right now, like we just said that she knows that she's not in the Vale. She's actually in the Vale. She's Elena Stone right now. She's going under an alias that Littlefinger has given her to hide her.
Yeah.
But Tarley basically says that that the Hound is now with the Brotherhood without banners, and they're just slaughtering up the countryside. After she's alone again with Hyle Hunt, he's like, no, that's not even actually what's going on. He's just using this as a lie to like try to discredit Beric Dondarrion and his entire cronies. Then trying to like help, with this propaganda in dealing with the last sort of remnants of the rebel forces. The sort of Lannister Baratheon thing that they got going on. At this point, leads are getting tough, but they're heading towards the Salt Pans, which is where they had last heard that the Hound and all of them could be found. So she's like, this is as good as lead as any. And while she's there, the Quiet Isle is a place where men go to atone kind of for their sins, to work towards good work, and to kind of live a life of like solitude. I believe that's kind of what they were loosely referencing with the Hound's arc in the actual show. But while she's there, when she's talking to the elder brother, he says that Sandor Clegane is dead, that the Hound is dead. And she's like, are you sure? And he says that he is at rest. So so it's up to interpretation whether or not, or maybe we'll find out more in Winds of Winter. But she trucks on forward, and they're at the end of the crossroads, and she meets a young Gendry, and immediately is overtaken by how much he reminds her of Renly Baratheon, which makes sense since that is his uncle by blood.
Striking resemblance.
But while she's kind of having this conversation with him, these riders come up, and she recognizes them immediately. Rogar and Biter. They were also the two that were in the... There's more riders as well, but they're in the cage with Jack and Hagar when Arya Stark meets them. It's so crazy how all these stories are all tied together. Just like a podcast has no name.
Yeah.
Rogar is killed as he's wearing the Hound's helm. And despite early on saying that they were not looking for a fight, she was like, these are not our friends and whatnot. He charges her, and she slays him immediately. Biter is very, very upset by this action. So he is actually able to overtake her and has her on the ground and begins literally gnawing on her face. And as she's about to pass out, she sees something red coming out, and she's like, oh my god, that tongue is so long, it almost looks like a sword. It was actually the head of a spear from Gendry, saving her life. However, it did not come without a cost, as he ends up taking her to the Brotherhood Without Banners and all of their boys, and they introduce her to now who's kind of running the Brotherhood, which is Lady Stoneheart. And when they search her stuff, they find the letter from King Tommen that she's been carrying around to kind of give her pass in different places and to like say that she is doing the king's business, let her do it, that Jaime had gotten her to make it easier on her journey. And they also see the sword with the Lannister pummel, and she says, you know, like, where is your loyalty? Like, it looks like you're a Lannister person, like, so you can either choose sword or noose. You either go strike down Jaime Lannister, or you'll get the noose. And this is the last of her POV chapters that we have to date. As she can feel the pain of the noose. And they're also hanging her, and they're hanging Podrick, and they're hanging Hyle as well. Like, so everyone that was kind of with her is about to die, and the last chapter is she said a word. Because we know that she is still around towards the end of the events of A Dance of Dragons, when it's kind of overtaken the events of now there is some amount of non-linear storytelling where events are happening at the same time in both those books, just in different sort of places. That's why the POV chapters are so different on each side of the story. But she does eventually ask Jaime to come with her, that the Hound has Sansa, but he's going to kill her if Jaime doesn't come alone. So I think in the most popular interpretation is that means that she is leading him into a trap. Now maybe she has another plan. And this is kind of where we're left off. Now, whether or
Yeah.
not she'll have an arc similar to Brienne of Tarth in the books or in the television show, we are still yet to determine. I definitely think some of those things could be on the horizon. Her potential love affair with Jamie, no, not if she gets him assassinated. Her potentially getting knighted, her potentially being a member of the Kingsguard. All of these things are very possible. I
Yeah.
find the character of Brienne of Tarth to be a really fascinating one, and I'm really glad we got to like really just deep dive through her story and look at it through each sort of step along the way. Luke,
Yeah.
you got anything you want to kind of add to like her
Yeah.
journey of like trying to find Sansa, or anything that you think that could be on the horizon for Winds of Winter, or even potentially Dream of Spring? I know Dream of Spring sounds more like a dream than actual things, but
I think it's kind of up in the air. I think you're right. There's the obvious interpretation is, to save Podrick, she can't stand to see him die, so she's leading Jamie into a trap for Lady Stoneheart. That's the obvious interpretation, but I think you're right. As usual with George Martin, there's going to be a twist, and I think there's indicators, obviously, that she has a plan up her sleeve where she's gonna figure out a way to save Podrick, and somehow get Jamie, I don't know, uh, and not just do what Stoneheart told her to do. But I don't really have many predictions past that. I just don't know. We're still waiting on Winds of Winter during the spring, so it's you just don't know. I mean, the show went so off the rails after that. I mean, in certain aspects that
I liked how they did her arc in the show. I'll actually say her arc was not like the only bad thing that happened in her arc was like Jamie leaving at the end, but that wasn't her arc's fault. That was what they did when they massacred Jamie's arc.
Yeah. Well, I did like one little show time when she was at Winterfell and
Yeah,
she had that little
it's
sword fight with
great.
Arya. That was so cool.
I was gonna say
Like,
her actually getting dubbed as a knight. That's the moment that sticks with me.
oh yeah, no, that was great too. I that was definitely a cheering moment. Stand up and cheer kind of
And
moment.
the
Even
smile
even if it
afterwards.
doesn't happen in the books, yeah. But I like the little sword fight because I think for me more that you see Arya's skill.
Yeah,
That was kind of fun to see her kind of turn into what was his name that taught her at
Jack and Hagar.
the first sword of Broad.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Syria Farrell. She learned.
Sierra Farrell.
She
She
learned
kind
from a
of
lot of different
yeah.
people to like how to become the fighter she became. But this is not an Arya Star
Yeah.
show. We could get in the weeds on that.
No. I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it. I just enjoyed the scene. But I will say, uh, you want? Am I good to go into kind of character arcs, comparing her to Dunk? Are you ready for that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I, as I said at the beginning, she does have a little different start. She has a little more, quite a bit more privilege. Dunk is in the right in the street. He's in
Ashford Meadow. Oh,
no
King's
where
Landing.
he grew up.
Flea Bottom.
It, Flea Bottom. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. They have different starts, but uh, there's kind of the comparison of Podrick kind of following her and kind of discovering him and following her along, and Dunk following Sir Arlen. I saw a little bit of that. Of course, technically, him following Dunk following Arlen is only show canon, but since George is kind of happy with it, we're not sure it doesn't happen that way, where he kind of follows him out of King's
He can
Landing.
still write flashbacks
But
like that in future novellas.
yeah,
That could
and
100% still
you
just
know,
be
we,
part of the arc.
so I guess that's a show to book comparison or a show to show and book comparison. But there's those, but they both kind of overcome quite a bit, and they have so many chances to do the wrong thing. And this isn't my problem. I'm going to stay out of this. Or they have so many
100%.
chances
Yeah,
to
yeah.
not do the right thing and make their life easier. Like, I could just make some money. I could serve this person and be fine. I won't have to face death. But both of them continue to face down uh, likely death in so many situations, and I think they're both devices, characters that he uses to kind of use as a true knight situation. Of course, Eddard Stark, but Eddard Stark is so elevated in his position that he's not an unlikely character. He's not an underdog in any way. He's in the top circle of power. So, but I think these two
you hit
have
a
similar
really good
devices.
note before we continue to go further. Before you go
Right.
too much further
Yeah,
off
go
of
ahead.
it, but the fact that
Yeah.
they're both so honorable, but they both get put in situations where they have to make decisions because of the dishonorable people around them about what is right, what is wrong, and you see them wrestle with it because they want to do the right thing, but sometimes the right thing is not always clear. And watching the
Mhm.
characters kind of like wrestle with that dynamic, like she wants to hate Jaime because he did the dishonorable thing. He killed his king as a member of the King's Guard. However,
Right.
when she starts to see there's more to it, and I don't want to get too much. I don't
Nuance.
want to like because if you're a fan of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I do not want to ruin like future. Dunk gets challenged with situations like over and over, or even the situation with Aryan
Mhm.
Brightflame here, where he stood up and they are put in compromised positions, and I think that like
Yeah.
and you see there, he does a great job with these two characters. To You can definitely see the similarities for sure. Sorry, I'll let you continue with where you were
Yeah.
going though.
And I think you're good. I mean, I was mostly done, but I think that's why he gives this connection. Because again, back to what we said, the only two connectors we have between them for sure is him confirming it. And I wonder if that was in a forum or an interview. Do you know specifically where he mentioned that?
It might have been on
Not
his
the Shield thing.
blog. The
Yeah,
shield,
but wherever it was,
the shield thing. She said like reminded she had seen it in her father's armory, and so that's why she decided to rock that coat of arms. So that would have been a really cool thing
yeah,
to have in the show, just to have her rocking that shield. Because then, but I mean, they never knew they were going to do this show, so um, it is what it is.
it takes more importance now. A lot of people didn't you didn't see a lot of videos going in deep about this connection until recently. But I guess any other thoughts on other characters to compare to before we get into theories about going deeper into her connection, uh, of how she might be an ancestor? Any other thoughts before that?
No, I mean, I think we covered it there. That like brief sort of
Yeah.
synopsis, and we also covered it a
So
little bit in just like in discussing each part of her like journey.
that's true. The So there's a lot of theories going around. And I can't credit this to myself, but there's several creators who I've listened to on some of these connections, but it's pretty vague because we know her father is Lord Selwyn, and we don't know who her mother is. We don't really have connections. We just know that Dunk, he had to sire somebody. If they're connected, he had to sire somebody because as far as we know, he has no siblings, unless that pops up. But one of the theories I saw uh, was that he. So the deepest theory I saw was that he possibly uh, had an affair or a tryst of some kind with one of Aegon's younger sisters, Daella and Ray, one of those two. Specifically Ray because she was a little young, or no, or Daella because she was slightly older than him. But the thought was that since they were so far down the line, the reason it's not so scandalous is that he possibly had a little thing with them, and to avoid shame, they married her off to someone from House Tarth. And that would have been probably Lord Selwyn's grandfather or great grandfather. Uh, and that's how that line, that might be where the line started. Another thought was that maybe they visited Tarth, him and Egg, in one of their adventures that we haven't gotten yet in the books, and he had some kind of affair with the lady. Maybe her husband was just, abusive or something of that nature. But that one doesn't sit as well with me because I don't see Dunk dishonoring a married, but I could be wrong, married lady. But and I guess back to the thought of possibly Dale or Ray, like again, maybe he got them pregnant, and that house was Tarth was such a small house that they were willing to have a match with the Targaryen from the main line. They were willing to overlook her pregnancy and just kind of pretend it's theirs. That's some of the theories I've heard. What about you, Doug? Have you thought about it or heard anything? Any comments on those theories or anything?
I don't know as much about all of those theories. I do have some sort of stuff, but like at risk of spoilers for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I kind of have to refrain a little bit. So unless we would just want to call a spoiler warning right now.
Yeah. Warn the audience.
Yeah.
Could be a spoiler, so skip over or stop if you're not.
If you do not want to know potentially some of the future of our friends Dunk and Egg, this would be a good time to turn it off. Please like, please subscribe. Please let me know if my audio is better this week.
Yeah.
But so the one big fundamental question I have was, did he do this when he was a member of the Kingsguard or before? Because I think that really kind of is interesting for a lot of different reasons. It could be because I still think that we see Dunk as the honorable, but, you're not supposed to when you're a member of the Kingsguard. But what is honor when compared to a woman's love, as Maester Aemon once said?
Yep.
So,
right.
That was kind of the one big thought I have. And then, obviously, because we know that he eventually is a member of the Kingsguard, we know that he is not wed. We know that he does not have, a proper family line. But that's about all I got on that.
Yeah. Now, all those theories that I kind of read into, all of them guessed that it was before he became a Kingsguard. That's why they kind of guessed that it was either one of him and Egg's journeys that George hasn't written yet, when he's still a hedge knight, or same thing. Maybe he's Aegon is further up in it's years later, but Dunk is sworn to it, or he's still protecting him, but Egg is not king yet. So the guess was Kingsguard, therefore before Egg became.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We called a spoiler warning.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I've got. But I all these theories are from different creators.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, we are already running along. We are already running along on what me and him had agreed was going to be a short episode, but me and Luke kind of suck at that part. So we will. Unless you have anything else you want to add, I think we could probably call it a show there.
I think that's going to be good. You want to tell them about our next episode?
Yeah, next 2 episodes will be Jaehaerys the Conciliator. Me and him have been looking forward to this. Honestly, since before we even started a podcast, we knew we would do Jaehaerys. We didn't know we were going to do it as a 2-parter, but based on kind of the way the structure of these shows is lined up, it does feel like that would make the most sense. Really looking forward to that. If you're still with us, thank you so much. Hope you have enjoyed.
Check out the Blackfire Rebellion episode.
Yes, if you haven't checked that out already, last week's episode was fantastic. Probably came out on St. Patrick's Day is my guess. Our recording and release schedule are a little messed up due to an illness I had last week. We will not go into details. But thanks again for watching, and peace out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Please join us again next week.